Story 1. I never believed in ghosts or the supernatural, but that all changed when I found myself at the infamous Winchester Hotel. It was a cold, rainy night in October when my boyfriend and I decided to take a spontaneous road trip from Los Angeles to San Francisco. We had always wanted to explore the city, and with no plans or reservations, we figured we would just wing it and find a hotel when we arrived. As we drove through the winding roads of the Bay Area, we came across a sign for the Winchester Hotel. It was an old, Victorian-style building with a grand entrance and elegant decor. Despite its charming appearance, there was something unsettling about the place. But as it was getting late and we were both exhausted, we figured it was our only option. We checked in and were given a room on the 3rd floor. As we walked up the creaky, old stairs, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The wallpaper was peeling and the paint was chipped, giving the hallway an eerie, abandoned feeling. Our room was no better. The bed sheets were stained and the curtains were torn. Once we were settled in, we decided to explore the hotel. It had a long, winding hallway with doors leading to various rooms and suites. As we walked, we noticed strange noises coming from some of the rooms. It sounded like furniture being dragged across the floor and doors slamming shut. We brushed it off as just the old building settling. But as the night went on, the strange occurrences only intensified. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps pacing back and forth outside our door. My boyfriend and I tried to ignore it, thinking it was just another guest. But the footsteps continued for hours. I couldn't fall back asleep and just lay there, wide awake and terrified. The next morning, we decided to ask the front desk about the strange noises. The receptionist gave us a strange look and told us that the hotel was haunted by the ghost of Sarah Winchester, the former owner of the hotel. She had built the hotel as a way to appease the spirits of those killed by the Winchester rifle, and it was said that their ghosts still roamed the halls. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My skepticism was quickly fading, and I was starting to believe that there was something supernatural going on at the Winchester Hotel. As the days passed, the strange occurrences continued. We would hear footsteps and voices coming from empty rooms, and objects would move on their own. One night, I woke up to the feeling of someone breathing on my face. When I turned to my boyfriend, he was fast asleep and the room was empty. I couldn't take it anymore and begged my boyfriend to leave, but he insisted that we stay and see this through to the end. I reluctantly agreed, but I was terrified. The next night was the worst. I woke up to the feeling of someone shaking my shoulder. When I opened my eyes, I saw a woman standing at the foot of the bed. She was translucent and had a sad, haunting look on her face. I screamed and woke up my boyfriend, and when he turned on the light, the woman was gone. We knew it was time to leave. We packed our things and checked out in the morning. As we were driving away, I couldn't shake the feeling that the ghosts of the Winchester Hotel were still with us. Looking back on that experience, I can't believe I actually stayed at a haunted hotel. It was a nightmare that I will never forget, and I will never set foot in that place again. The mere thought of those ghosts still roaming the halls gives me chills to this day. Story 2. It all started when I decided to take a weekend trip away. I had been feeling cooped up at home due to lockdown, so figured some fresh air would do me good. I drove out of town, looking for the perfect hotel to stay in overnight. After a few hours of searching, I stumbled across what seemed like a great spot. Hotel Del Coronado in San Diego, California. Located on the beachfront, this grand Victorian-style hotel was built in 1880 and has been a popular destination for travelers and celebrities alike. It wasn't until I arrived at the hotel that we heard about the ghostly presence that supposedly haunts the premises. Legend has it that a young woman named Kate Morgan checked into the hotel in 1892, claiming to be waiting for her husband to join her. 5 days later, she was found dead on the beach, and to this day, her spirit is said to roam the hotel. I must admit, I was a bit uneasy upon learning this, but we shrugged it off as silly superstition and decided to enjoy our stay. However, strange things began to happen almost immediately. On the first night, I was awoken by the sound of footsteps outside my door. I assumed it was just a guest walking by, but when I opened the door, no one was there. The next night, I heard what sounded like a woman's laughter coming from the hallway, but again, when I looked, there was no one there. I began to feel like I was being watched, and every time I turned around, I had the feeling that someone was behind me. It was unsettling, to say the least. One particularly eerie experience occurred when I was using the elevator to go down to the lobby. As the doors closed, I suddenly felt a cold draft and the elevator started to shake. I panicked and tried to hit the emergency stop button, but it wouldn't budge. Just as I was about to call out for help, the elevator came to a sudden stop and the doors opened. I rushed out, heart racing, and never used the elevator again during my stay. I tried to brush off these strange occurrences as my imagination getting the best of me, but the strangeness didn't stop there. One night, I was sitting in the lobby reading a book when I heard a faint knock on the window behind me. I turned around to see a woman's face pressed up against the glass, her eyes wide and pleading. I froze in terror, unable to move. When I finally mustered up the courage to get up and investigate, there was no one there. I couldn't take it anymore and decided to confront the hotel staff about these strange happenings. They didn't seem surprised and told me that many guests had reported similar experiences. They even pointed out certain areas of the hotel that were known to be particularly haunted, such as room 3327, where Kate Morgan stayed, and the beach where she was found dead. Despite the staff's reassurance that these were just legends and not to be taken seriously, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about this place. I decided to cut my stay short and leave a day early, not wanting to risk any more encounters with the alleged ghost of Kate Morgan. As I packed my bags and checked out, I couldn't help but wonder if I had truly experienced a real haunted hotel experience or if my mind had just played tricks on me. Regardless, I knew one thing for sure: I would never be staying at the Hotel del Coronado again. Story 3. It was the summer of 2018 when my friends and I decided to take a trip down to the Big Easy for some much-needed relaxation and adventure. We had heard about the notorious haunted hotels in the French Quarter, and being the thrill-seekers that we were, we decided to book a room at the Hotel Monteleone. Located on Royal Street, the Hotel Monteleone has a rich history dating back to 1886. It has served as a setting for many famous writers and artists, including Tennessee Williams and Truman Capote. But it was also rumored to be haunted by the ghosts of former guests and employees. As soon as we arrived at the hotel, I couldn't shake off the eerie feeling that seemed to permeate the air. The antique furnishings and dimly lit corridors only added to the spooky atmosphere. But we shrugged it off as just our imaginations and headed up to our room on the 5th floor. That night, I had a restless sleep. I kept waking up to strange noises and the feeling of being watched. But I attributed it to the excitement of the trip and the rich history of the hotel. The next morning, I dismissed my strange experience as just a bad dream. As the days went by, the strange occurrences only seemed to intensify. One of my friends, Rachel, claimed to have seen a ghostly figure in the hallway late at night. She said it was a woman dressed in a white nightgown, floating down the corridor with a sad expression on her face. Another friend, Dave, heard strange whispers coming from the walls. He said it sounded like a group of people talking, but when he turned to look, there was no one there. And I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched, even when I was alone in the room. I tried to dismiss these experiences as just our overactive imaginations, but it was hard to ignore the cold spots in the room and the strange movements of objects. It was as if the ghosts of the Hotel Monteleone were trying to communicate with us. One night, I decided to do some research on the history of the hotel. I learned that the 5th floor, where we were staying, was notorious for its paranormal activity. It was said that a former employee, a bellhop named Jack, had died on the 5th floor and his ghost continued to haunt the hotel. It was also rumored that a young woman had taken her own life in one of the rooms on the 5th floor, and her ghost was still seen roaming the halls. I also learned about the Carousel Bar, a rotating bar located on the ground floor of the hotel. It was said that the ghosts of former patrons still lingered in the bar, enjoying their drinks from beyond the grave. One story told of a man who had died at the bar while playing poker. It was said that his ghost still played cards with the living patrons. The next day, we decided to brave the Carousel Bar and see if we could spot any ghosts. As we took our seats at the bar, I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were being watched. And sure enough, as the bar slowly rotated, I caught a glimpse of a transparent figure in the corner of my eye. It was a man dressed in a suit, sitting at a table with a deck of cards in front of him. He looked up at me and gave me a sly smile before disappearing into thin air. We quickly finished our drinks and headed back to our room, shaken by our experience. But as we were walking down the hallway, we heard a knock on the door of one of the rooms. We peered through the peephole and saw a figure standing on the other side. But when we opened the door, no one was there. It was as if the ghost was playing a trick on us. The following night, I had a vivid dream about the ghost of the young woman who had taken her own life. She appeared to me in my dream, telling me that she was trapped in the hotel and needed my help. When I woke up, I was covered in sweat and my heart was racing. We couldn't take it anymore. We decided to leave the haunted hotel and check into a different one. As we packed our bags and prepared to leave, I couldn't help but wonder about the ghosts that still lingered in the Hotel Monteleone. Who were they and what were they trying to tell us? I may never know the answers to these questions, but I will never forget my haunted hotel experience in New Orleans. It was a trip that I will never forget, and it only solidified my belief in the supernatural. The ghosts of the Hotel Monteleone will always have a place in my memory, and I can't help but wonder if they are still haunting the halls, waiting for their next visitor.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to stay tuned for more true stories.